Yeah.
Yeah. So, by the way, I can read you. I just have it, up here. I can read you the quotes where Jesus teaches the 5 points of Calvinism, if you guys are interested. If not, no big deal.
Yeah,
Someone don't
sure.
put a question. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll eat. What?
Limited atonement.
I will. I'll do limited atonement.
Limited atonement, please.
I will. I'll do that. I'll do
That's
them in
Daniel's
order.
favorite.
I'll do them in order. And here's the article I wrote where I did this research. So I already did total depravity. Now I'll do unconditional election. Jesus says in John 6:44, no one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I'll raise him up on the last day. And we just went over John 6:65, so I'll skip that one. In Mark 4:10 through 12, Jesus says, he speaks parables. He says, to you has been given the mystery of the kingdom of God, but those who are outside get everything in parables, in order that while seeing they may see and not perceive, and while hearing they may hear and not understand, lest they return and be forgiven. Matthew 11:27, all things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, nor does anyone know the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wills to reveal him. Ooh. And Jesus says in John 6:38 through 40, for I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And this is the will of him who sent me, that all that he's given me, that's election, I lose none, but raise it up on the last day. That's also eternal security. For this is the will of my Father, that everyone who believes in the Son, believes in him, may have eternal life. I myself will raise him up on the last day. That's also perseverance of the saints. Okay, limited atonement, John 10:11. I'm the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays his life down for the sheep. He specifically says who he lays his life down for. In John 10:26, but you do not believe because you are not of my sheep. In Matthew 25:32, and all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them from one another as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He'll put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. So he says he lays his life down for the sheep. He says, but you're not my sheep. And we know that if not the sheep, then they're goats. So he says, lay my life down for the sheep, but you're goats. Limited atonement. Irresistible grace, which means that regeneration. You can't thwart what God's doing at your regeneration. Matthew 4:19, and he said to them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they immediately left the nets and followed him. He told them, they did it. And as Jesus in Matthew 9:9, as Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man called Matthew sitting in the tax office. He said to him, follow me. And he arose and followed him. John 6:37, all that the Father gives me will come to me. The one who comes to me, I certainly will not cast out. And then again, the reason he said to you, no one can come to me unless it's been granted him from the Father. So this is the drawing, the work of God in his grace. When he calls you to be his, you're his. And then already did perseverance of the saints. And I read the other one about unconditional election. All right. So there you go, right from Jesus' own words.
You want to go over these or no?
Well, if you can, I mean, I'm only going to be here for another 10 minutes because I got to go to the top of the hour here. But, there you go. Okay.
Do the easy one first. Limited atonement. You said
Yeah.
John 10:11. I laid my life down for the sheep.
Uh-huh.
If I told you
Yeah.
that I love my wife, does this mean that I don't love my child?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of what the
Okay.
negative inference fallacy is?
Yes.
Do you believe that you've committed the negative inference fallacy by taking a positive statement from Christ and inferring the negative?
No, because he says in John 10:26, but you do not believe because you're not of my sheep. And then in Matthew 25:32, all the nations will be gathered before him, talking about himself. He'll separate the sheep and the goats. So there's just two kinds of people, the sheep and the goats. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
All right.
But,
Who does he lay his life down for? The sheep and the goats?
of course.
Okay. So, okay, you can draw that. So let me ask you, let's just work with that now. So he bore the sin of everybody who ever lived?
Yeah, but hold on. We were going to the claim that you made. Like, I don't want to run off on my position. The limited atonement, negative inference
Yeah.
fallacy. Like, if Jesus says,
Yeah.
I lay my life down for the sheep, are you inferring the negative that he does not lay his life down for the not sheep?
Yes, that's why I'm inferring from that. Yeah,
Okay, that's the negative inference fallacy.
that's okay. But I'm just saying that he says, I am the good shepherd. I know my own and my own know me. Even as the Father knows me and the Father, I lay my life down for the sheep.
Yeah,
That's what he says in verse 15.
yeah, I
So he
totally
knows his
agree.
own.
Yeah,
His other sheep I have not of this fold. I'll bring them. They'll hear my voice. They'll come one flock with one shepherd. For this reason, the Father loves me because I lay my life so that I may take it up again. So
yeah.
he certainly is not saying he's laying his life down for the goats, is he?
Well, he's not saying that there, but it would be fallacious to infer the
Okay.
negative from a
Okay.
positive claim. Do you agree?
Yes and no, but what we're doing is with what Jesus said. He says who he specifically lays his life down for. Can you show me any place where it says he lays his life down for the goats when he differentiates between sheep and goats?
Yeah, I could, but
Please
this
do.
is just like about limited atonement right now and how we seem to both
Well,
agree that from this passage you are okay accepting a fallacious understanding to get limited atonement from it.
I certainly think that Jesus is telling us who he laid his life down for. He
I agree.
tells us he's saying it's for the sheep. Does he
I agree.
say he lay his life down for the goats? Does he?
No, not in that passage. He doesn't.
Any passage where he says he lays his life down for the goats?
Yeah, but
Where?
again, we're talking about this passage and you
I got
committing a
you.
fallacy.
We have done this over and over and over again. I got you. I understand. And I keep saying to you, in this passage, he's saying the sheep. I got you. And
Okay.
I got you. The negative inference fallacy. I get it. I said to you, he's saying who he laid his life down for. That's what he's saying. I'm going with that. I'm with what he said. Now, I get the logic. Does it mean he didn't lay his life down for the goats? It doesn't necessitate that. I'm
Yes,
using this
you
as a
break
support for limited. Can you please
so
open mic?
casually cruel and
Fire,
mean
Where
earth.
is
with
it?
Can you
me
stop?
all
Fire,
the
earth, air. Okay. And so I'm just telling you that I'm going with what he said. There certainly is the inference that he knows who the sheep and the goats are because he divides them later on. And here he specifically says he's only laying his life down for the sheep. And I quoted the other verses, but you don't want to go any further than this. So
No,
I
I don't.
asked
I
you
don't.
in light of this, I asked you in light of this, do you have any verses that says he laid down for the goats? Because if you do that, then my verses don't work. So where's that verse? He laid his life down
Well,
for the goats.
we weren't talking about the other verses. We can talk about the
Okay,
two
we'll
other
go on to the
verses
next
that you
person then.
brought.
We'll talk about
Excuse
that.
me.
That's fine then. We'll go on to the
Excuse me.
next person then.
We can
Okay,
talk about the two verses that you brought
we
up where he
we
talks
can go
about
to the
sheep
next.
and goat,
We
where
we
he
can go to
talks
the
about
next.
sheep
Yeah.
and goats.
I asked you, but you don't want it. You don't want to do this. Okay, you just
So
keep going on the same thing. I've responded to you like 3 or 4 times. I get it. I get what you're saying. And then
yeah,
I
so
asked you a question and you just ignore it. So we're just done. We can go to the next
I
person.
didn't
That's all right.
I didn't ignore any question that you asked me, and I said it
Okay,
was fine to
we're
go to the other
okay.
verses that you brought up about sheep and goats and stuff. I
Okay,
just
can we
didn't
go
want
to
to
the next
turn this in.
person?
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I just
Okay.
but
didn't want to.
I actually can't mute Daniel in this chat, so if he
Why would
refuses
you
to
mute me?
stop,
You
if he
don't have to
refuses
mute
to
him to
stop,
go on to someone else. You
yeah,
can
well,
just
I
ask
just
don't know
Daniel,
why
another
you
Daniel,
would.
can you
question.
please stop, bro? Like, please
Daniel,
stop.
Daniel,
Uh,
look, I've already answered you. I've given it, and all you're doing, like you've done this before. I know you. You just want to take on one thing and harp on it over and over and over again. I just get tired of your tactic. I do. I get tired of you. I answer you, and you keep going on the same thing. I answer again. You do the same thing. It's just annoying, and that's why I'm like, okay, I got you. I give you a reason, then I ask you a question. You won't even answer the question. You keep going on the same thing. Do you understand how tiring it is to talk to you?
well, not really, but real quick, why? Well, never mind. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
You shouldn't.
okay,
You shouldn't. Dude, stop interrupting
dude.
me, Matt.
I'm done with you. I'm done. I
Okay,
asked
that's
you
fine, but
for
you
a
don't have
question.
to interrupt me. Like I listen to you talk. You
Oh,
can listen to me talk for more than 3 seconds.
go
So,
ahead and I'll be
well,
done. I'm not going to respond to you. Just say what you want to say. We'll see if
that's
anybody else
fine.
wants to talk afterwards.
Well, I was trying to. It's like third time you've interrupted. So I'm okay with talking about your position on limited atonement. That's what I asked. Show us the passages. So if you want to go to the other passages where he talks about the sheep and the goats, that's fine. We can do that. I just didn't want to go to my view and trying to prove my view while we're asking about yours. That's it.
So anybody else?
We can go to John 6 if you wanted to prove a different. What was it that you used John 6 for? Total depravity.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Seriously, anybody else?
You didn't want to go to John 6 on total depravity?
So I don't know. Look, we'll just guess someone else.
Got 3
enter
minutes.
the map.
Yeah, I got like 3 minutes before I got to go. So, see, Daniel doesn't hear. Daniel, this is what you keep doing the same thing. He goes, so, and he keeps doing exactly the thing. That's annoying. And he continues. Oh man, like just move along.
That's why I did. I tried. I said, you want to go to John 6?
All right. Well, it was nice talking to you guys. I am going to go down and spend time with the wife and the company, and we'll talk to you. Bye.
Good